Welcome. We are here again with Gold Coast basketball. We've got a great video here for you today. We'll have a Zoom conference with a few legends of the game. Those of you who supported Gold Coast basketball from a long time ago will be really happy to see some of the legends we have on screen. A very big welcome goes to Mike Mitchell, Dave Claxton, Brennan LeGassick, and John Szigeti. Hello, boys.
Hey, Joe.
What's going on?
How you doing?
Great to have you here. I know it's been a couple of weeks of us trying to organise this. It's good to see how technologically advanced you all are. John Szigeti looking lovely under the water. Coming live from his pool. We're hoping Peter Hill's going to drop in and join us in just a few moments, he says. Reached out to a lot of the old boys from the team. And a lot of them said they unfortunately couldn't join us because of work commitments. Rob Croker, John Harris, I think Doug Peacock couldn't do it either. We tried to get Peter Harvey on as well and Paul Kuiper. But yeah, unfortunately they couldn't join us. Andre Lafleur as well. But I know for the fans, there's plenty of them out there from the old Roller Dome days. Those of you who aren't aware, the Gold Coast joined the NBL back in 1990 and started as a Gold Coast Cougars for 2 years, I think it was. Then the Rollers for 3 years, or 5 years, Dave, sorry. 5 years as the Rollers. Always had pretty solid teams. The NBL at that time was booming. Television, live games every week. Great crowds, great energy. And the guys here were all involved with the Rollers teams. So I might sort of go one by one and have a little chat to you individually. Tell me where you are now, how are you, and what's been happening for the last 25 years for those fans out there who haven't seen you. So we might start with you, Mike. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm back out here in California. So retired 2000 and I think it was 2005. After I left Australia, went to Germany, played on the Irish national team, played in France. And then I came home, joined the college, tried the college ranks of at UC Riverside, but, I didn't like to travel because I traveled so much. So, decided to join the high school ranks. So I was coaching high school boys basketball. Now I'm coaching high school girls basketball, and we won the CIF championship, which is a section down here in Southern California last year. Have a couple of pretty good players, one player on the USA under 16 team. So we're doing pretty good. Now with all this going on, we haven't been able to do anything but just sit around the house and twiddle my thumbs. But other than that, no, I'm good. Just good, relaxing. I have 3 kids. My oldest son, who was born down in Melbourne, he's now playing at Santa Clara. He's about 6'8", and I'm trying to work on getting his Australian paperwork done because I was a permanent resident when he was born. And then my daughter is about 6'2", and she's playing volleyball at Howard University. And then I have an 11-year-old who's starting to pick up the game of basketball, and he's predicted to be about 6'4", 6'4 and a half. So. But other than that, I'm just living life as everybody else is.
Oh, it's great to hear, Mike. Gold Coast fans, you'll be happy to know that I have been asking Mike about his kids and the possibility of them coming out here and playing out here on the Gold Coast. So negotiations have started.
They're underway.
Yeah. I might move to you, Dave. I know we did a Zoom call just recently where we had yourself, Annie Lafleur, and Pero talk about some basketball issues, which was really well received. If you could just give us a little brief, what's been happening with you lately in the last 20-odd years since you've stopped coaching for the Rollers, mate?
Well, I had, after the Rollers, I went to Adelaide for a year and coached the 36ers, and then I came back and really got established more on the Gold Coast in helping set up the Gold Coast, what is now the State League and is now the new Rollers in the, what they call it now, NBL 1, which will commence, if not this year, next year. And then I spent 16 years at the Southport School, TSS, with the basketball program there, with the high school boys, and I really enjoyed that. And then I retired in 2016, and I play golf nearly every day now. But on top of that, I've this year, late last year, started at Hillcrest with their junior squads up there at high school. So around my golf, you know, I now do some work with those high school boys and enjoying that.
Oh, it's great. I don't think you'll ever not be involved with the game, Dave. All the way to the grave, mate, for you, I think.
I think so.
Well, that's great to hear, Dave. Thank you very much for joining us today. I do believe, Peter Hill, you've just joined us as well.
I have. Hi, guys. There's Mike Mitchell.
Oh, there he is.
How are you?
The gunner from down under.
Yeah, haven't seen you for a while.
Oh, right?
Yeah.
It's been a long while.
Hi, Dave. Hi, Brendan. I can see you guys there as well. And Joel. It's a pretty thin pickings, is it? Where's Andre?
Andre said he wants to catch up with you guys shortly. He's unable to make it today, though, yeah.
Pete, if you've just come on, if you're standing under that, what is an air conditioning unit, if your head is still, it actually looks like a halo.
Oh, well, that must be true.
No.
And that worries me.
It's like the devil.
Very down LaFleur. He's always late.
Yeah. Andre was funny. In one story, we were waiting on the bus at Carrara, and he was always late. And he came in this day. I said to the boys on the bus, "Yeah, let's go. We've got an airport. We've got to get to Brisbane Airport." He comes running in, driving in, screeches into the Carrara, gets on the bus. I said, "Andre, where have you been?" "You wouldn't believe this, Dave. I was in the bank, and it got held up."
Oh. No, I wouldn't believe that.
How do you find time to get mad with a bloke who comes up with that sort of story?
You never believed anyone anyway, Dave.
That's not as good as Szigeti's stories.
He fined me once for my car breaking down and I was late. Ray set this good standard that year, but yeah. You remember that, Dave?
That is Szigeti. You're not telling the full story on that one.
Peter, you missed the first part of the meeting. We said keep it PG.
Yeah, that's right.
PG.
I can see the recording.
It is recording. I do think that most of the Rollers fans will be at the age now where they wouldn't mind hearing some stories that are a bit more blue.
No. They don't
pleading the fifth.
stories.
Pleading the fifth.
I'm not saying. I'm pleading the fifth. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, Pete, I know you can only join us very briefly. You're at work at the moment. You've got lots of meetings. We're just going around to start off with talking to everyone individually for the Rollers fans who might not know what you've been up to the last 20-odd years since your NBL career finished. So I might go to you now. What have you been up to? Where are you? Are you still involved with the game? And, you know, a bit of story about your family and how everything's going, mate.
Yeah, well, nothing's changed. I'm still playing on Wednesday nights.
Knocking them down.
That's it.
Yeah.
And no, I haven't moved. I've stayed on the Gold Coast after the Rollers. That's a long time ago, right? How many years ago was that, Mike?
25, 26.
25, 26 years ago. Seems like yesterday, right?
Yeah, it does.
So no, stayed a little bit involved in the game, mainly at the playing level. Do a little bit of coaching in the juniors with the kids, and the family. We've got two boys. One of them played significantly with Brendan and Dave over at TSS. He's off at university, although he's back here at the moment doing computer science. And we've got a 13-year-old that's obviously still at school in year 7. So he plays a little bit of basketball just on the enjoyment side. So that's pretty much it. And just buried in computers, which was pretty much what I was doing 25 years ago while I was playing basketball.
There you go.
Thanks, Pete. Appreciate that. I might go to you now, Brendan. Give those Rollers fans who used to love seeing you with that massive mullet back in the day, mate. Give them an update of what you've been up to the last few years, mate.
Well, unfortunately, yeah, it doesn't seem as Pete mentioned that like 25 years ago. It's just amazing. But I've still got a bit of hair, which is a positive.
Yeah,
a little bit
got
of
the
bat,
mullet.
a little bit, yeah, a little bit of mullet at the back.
He's going dark at that hair.
Yeah. I actually had got dark as I got older. So yeah, the colour's still going okay. But yeah, give Ronnie the Rat a run for his money with the mullet and that sort of thing. But yeah, life's been pretty good. So most of the guys, I settled back down on the coast after basketball and sort of gone into small business and been in the management rights industry, happily married. Actually, that's coming up to, 17, a long time. Anyway, so we've been happily married for a long time. 2 kids and, we're just running a business in Southport. So we've got a management rights in business. And, I was fortunate enough to take over the TSS basketball program when Claxton finished in 2016 and been the director of basketball there for the last 3 and a bit years. So obviously been a challenge, just recently with COVID, but great program to be involved. Dave said great foundation for us and just sort of taking that on. And basketball obviously has grown in popularity again. So we've got strong numbers over there. My son's there, Preston. So he's now just turned 17 and he's at TSS in year 11. And my daughter's also keen basketballer, but probably more a mad surfer than anything. So family life's good and things are well.
Great to hear, G. Great to hear. And now we'll go to you, John. Give us a bit of a rundown of what you've been doing and your other sports you've enjoyed after basketball, whatnot, mate.
And the freaking
the Hungarian hammer. You heard it first. No, the hammer didn't work. I tried, Mike. At the top level, it failed. But no, after I finished playing, I was lucky enough to come back here to Currumbin and start my own gym. And I've been on the beach now for about 12 years, enjoying being my own boss and having a really good lifestyle. And I've got 2 kids. I got a boy, he's nearly 17. I sort of didn't hit him over the head with basketball too much, but he still plays and loves it. And I've got a daughter who's 10 and she's going to be my beast. He's got the competitive nature. He's a bit gentle, let's say. And but so after I finished playing basketball, I sort of got a little bit fatter than I wanted to be, and I got up to about 150 kilo. And I thought, well, this isn't good. And I tried to keep playing, and at that weight, my body just screamed for a few days after every game. So I decided, I'll take up boxing to try and lose some weight. And I said to me, he's a professional trainer. He said, I'll train you if you have a fight when you reach your goal weight. And I thought, okay, 150. What's the goal weight? 115. Oh, that's about 3 years. Well, it took about 6 months, and then they had me on national TV. And it was an interesting thing. I sort of went into war with a cap gun. I just had a jab, and I got hit like a movie, and kept jabbing, just competing, and I ended up winning. I don't know how, and it just went on for there. And then I ended up having about 15 fights. Fought for a couple of Queensland titles and Australian title, and it was a really good experience after 30 to sort of compete. And at the moment, I'm with Dave at Hillcrest, and we've just established a good team at a high school level of coaching with Pero Cameron, and we're just really enjoying kicking Brendan's butt every year at TSS, and he's really gunning for us. He's trying to recruit all our players, and no, he's an absolute gentleman, and I think we're going to have a really good rivalry for a few years. But that's me, and I'm back in Gold Coast basketball coaching again, and I'm taking on the men's NBL 2 team, and so we'll see what happens with Gold Coast basketball in the next few years. I'm really looking forward to it.
I remember heading out to a few of Szigeti's fights, and I honestly thought he was mad, to tell you the truth. I couldn't believe some of these boys. What were some of the bigger guns you fought against for the state title and that sort of thing, Johnny? I remember walking out one time and the guy was I thought his arms were tire treads, like they were just massive, big. Here's Szigeti, like all your life doing one particular sport, and then making that transition over to another completely sort of brutal sport, I thought was a fair effort. But I know some of the guys went on to pretty good. Was one?
I was lucky, G-man, like, or unlucky, because like with boxing, you have your time and your generation, and probably the best two heavyweights ever came through in my generation, and I was lucky enough to get him in my lead up in my first 12 fights, and it was Alex Leopai and
that's it.
Lucas Big Daddy Brown, yeah. But, yeah, it was different, mate.
At least you got all your teeth still.
I do, man. I'm looking good, Mike. You should see me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we should, but we can't. We went to a damn ass camera.
So, Dave, when you hear all the stories from all these guys, it must make you, as a coach, that all your players followed on and they have a passion for the game. And a lot of the guys here have coached for a long time and still are coaching. What do you think when you hear that, mate?
Oh, look, I'm really pleased about everybody being able to put something back into the game. It was good to us, and it's good to put something back for the younger generation, and trying to develop not just their on-court skills, but their moral code of how to conduct themselves. And if you do the hard work, you succeed in whatever, and the disciplines that are involved. The young kids today, they need discipline, they need some guidance, they need some rules, I think, in whatever they do. So it's good to have everybody who's been involved after the Rollers in producing themselves in helping the game develop over time and get some enjoyment out of themselves. I mean, a lot of the players in those days of the NBL, it was a very important part of Australian basketball, but the NBL at that level, just recently it's starting to get back to the quality of imports that we had. The quality of imports we had when we had Andre and Mike, like they were the two of probably the best combination in the NBL. And when you look back at some of the players in those years, James Crawford, Ricky Grace, you can go on, Darryl McDonald, I mean, they're exceptionally good players. And I felt Mike, I'm not just saying it because he's on today's Zoom, but when we brought Mike Mitchell to the Rollers, I actually think he changed a significant role in basketball. He became a big three-man, who could play different spots, but he could play the three and seriously play the four in a power spot. But his strength and size and ability and skill, I think, set the tone for future years of having what could be considered a bigger player in that small forward role.
Appreciate that, Coach.
Well, Mike, you made.
Mike, I agree, man.
Yeah, you made first team All NBL 1 year, I think, Mike. I think you were in the All Star 5 1 year. Yep.
Yeah, 1 year. 1 year. Then got hurt and had to change my whole game.
Best player never to win an MVP, bro. Good job, man.
So what we might do now is I might put some footage on some old YouTube clips I've got of old Rollers games. The audio doesn't come through, so you guys are going to have to do the commentary for this, guys. So feel free to talk freely about the game. The first one we have here is 1993 Rollers versus Melbourne Tigers, and this was at home. I'll just full screen this for you.
Oh, Lord.
So the video is not too great, but I believe we have starting Matt Reese, Andre, Mike, Szigeti here with the ball, and I think Pete, you're on there too, and then Szigeti with the first hoop.
With that,
unusual.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, what are you doing shooting the ball, Szigeti?
So like as Dave touched on just before, like I can't remember this game like directly, but just that Tigers crew, like that five that's on for the Tigers, like is an outstanding. And as Dave was sort of touching on, there's like Leonard Copeland, I think's in there, and that sort of thing. Like Bradkey, like they were absolute beasts of the day. And obviously, I know we sort of compare to the modern game and that sort of thing, but I've got no doubts these athletes and players, like for some reason, it always clicks in my head when I see that Patterson play. I think of Mike a little bit, like with Bullets. Like I just compare guys from back in the day. But yeah, they were loaded, and it was a massive night and a massive like win for the Rollers that night. But I guess the game back then was a lot more structured, I feel, than today's game. And we were pretty patient getting through stuff and sets and run the shot clock out as a longer shot clock. But yeah, no, it was a great era, great time at the Roller Dome.
Oh yeah. You know, this game with those guys with, you know, Bracky at 7 foot, and Dave Simmons, 6'8", and then I think it was Sibley wasn't on this team.
Sibley's on this team, yeah. Sibley's on this team.
Sibley, yeah. Ward Giddy, and all those guys. I mean, it was just like they were a huge team, and it was, you know, it was fun for competition wise. So yeah, there goes Sibs right there. So, you know, like I said, this game, you know, I watched this game a couple of weeks ago, and I was just like, oh my God, I don't remember this. And looking at all the people in the stands, and, you know, seeing the sideline, and, you know, it just like the structure of the game is kind of like what I kind of teach my girls and the guys that I had before. I teach them kind of the same things. I'm looking at the plays, and I'm going, man, I still run that play. Oh, I still run that play. So it's great. But you know nowadays it's so much one-on-one basketball, and the game is still fun, but it's not really fun to watch if it's just so much one-on-one. So, but you know, I like keeping the structure of it, and you know, keeping the same defense intensity all through the whole game, and what we did in this game was just crazy.
How many offensive sets would you guys have been running at this time, Dave? Was it sort of about 3 or 4 or 5 key ones?
Yeah, we had 3 or 4 key ones to get Mike and Andre in particular. Andre won the best hands award, which is like, you know, the best assists, you might call it now. He won that 3 years in a row. But if you look at the size of Andre as a point guard, he was an absolute bull. He was so strong compared to the other point guards that were in the league. So we used to be able to get him off back screens and in the lane where he could just get his shot away on the opposing players, because he was strong for what would be classified as a point guard. But you know, he could shoot, he could pass the ball extremely well, handle the ball extremely well, and get to the basket because of his absolute strength.
Speaking of strong guys, did you see Goody in there tearing it up in that last sequence? Unbelievable.
Hey, Joel, was this the game when Goody went up for a layup, and Curly was like, "Oh, he just went up for that pussy shot."
Yeah,
he goes, that's the way. He goes, that's what you're supposed to do. Stop with that pussy shot. I was like, he said.
Has anyone heard from Andrew Goodwin? Know where he is these days?
Last I heard, he was in Townsville, married with three kids, I think. I haven't heard of him recently, but like he was he really set himself up in Townsville in more recent times, anyway.
Tell you what, Pete, you don't look like you've aged too much when I look at you there, mate.
I was looking old then, right? Still going grey very early. I can see that they were missing their coach, were they? Was Lindsay Gaze not there?
Must have been on that.
On national duty.
Out of Westhover. Yeah, Westhover out of that particular game. But Lindsay was normally there. I think he might have been away with some... he was also on FIBA, on the rules committee. And I think it might have been this particular time. He was actually away at a FIBA meeting, I think, held in Europe.
Yeah, that would have been right. And like you guys have mentioned how big they were in the front court, but you probably haven't mentioned the fact that they had Gaze and Copeland in the back court, which probably gave us even bigger nightmares.
Hey, so for you boys who haven't seen this, I'll roll this last minute of the game. Per the commentary, Melbourne got up early. Rollers came back. Melbourne got away, and then we made it. I say, Joel being in the crowd as a bloody smart-ass 13-year-old.
That counts. Any heckling.
So this is about a minute to...
Hey, you might have to go back to the beginning. I think it was one of the first few plays. It was somebody in the stands. What was the guy who's just sweated like crazy? And he had the...
Tom Gerhardt.
Yeah, I saw him on that.
Tommy's still around.
Guy that sweated like crazy, Tommy.
I'll go back to that. Well, I'll put that back on. I just want you to show this last minute of the game, guys. So I think the Rollers are down. Here we go, down 3 with 2:40 to go. This is a nice one for Mike.
Oh yeah, I got
Nice
to leak out a little bit.
Jack Daniels' legs.
What's that?
Jack Daniels' legs.
Oh, there you go. See, we said PG. We said PG.
Hey,
hey, you remember? Yeah, we still remember a couple of your nights.
Hey, I'm not denying it. I'll tell you about this game after it.
Oh man!
And not to take away your glory of this game, Mike, but I was working in a nightclub called KA's at this time, and the Tim Bell, remember him? He was the manager, and his mate owned a nightclub in Townsville, and they played Townsville the night before. And Timmy said to me, "Johnny, you're going to kick their butt tomorrow, man." Why is that? Why is that? He said, 5 a.m. they were still dancing on the bar.
This is
so they did pretty good to hang with us.
So
Yeah, right.
Rollers are down 1 here. Rollers are down 1.
I think I kind of like broke the play on this one.
Yeah.
All right. I'll key up another one.
Finish.
So you wanted to see Tom Gerhardt, didn't you? Hold on, I'll go back to that. Hold on.
Yeah.
Tommy coached with us at TSS a little, didn't he? And he was with you, Dave, wasn't he, for a bit?
Yeah, Tommy was coaching. Last couple of years I was there. He had a team. He's a very passionate basketball person still.
Yep. He breaks it down, the analogies. I remember some of his whiteboards. I don't know if you remember, Szigeti. He'd come out on the whiteboard, like Dave had a lot of notes on the whiteboard, but Tommy G would flip it to the other side, and he had full details on the second side of the whiteboard as well. Like his pre-game speeches would go for like 10, 20 minutes. Like,
I remember having to play with Hutchie. Tommy would do all that, and Hutchie would just go out. He'd be our point guard, and when you run none of it, he'd just shoot it every time.
What do you want to do anyway?
Whatever happened to Hutchie?
Hutchie's still playing.
Yep.
He's playing very well, actually.
He's moving well.
Oh,
Yeah. He looks like he's 20 on the court.
oh Lord.
Top 10 scorers, Hilly.
Hey?
Hutch. He'd be up there, wouldn't he?
Oh, yeah, he'd be up there.
Good
Yeah,
call.
gets him up.
Yeah.
There he is.
Oh, no, wait. Moving
There's
on.
Tommy.
Oh, there's Tommy.
There he is.
Tommy G.
Tommy G.
Looking sharp.
looking like the stalker. Looking like a stalker in the stands.
Watching intently. All right. So I'm going to just show the other game we got here is Rollers versus Falcons. This one goes for an hour. So I just sort of, while it's rolling, you see Peter Harvey on the court there playing for Newcastle. So was it the next year after this he came up, Dave? What was the story, Peter?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but I think it was the next year that we brought Peter in. And like as a player, I think I mentioned it last day that he was a good player. Terry Dozier, he was a good player. But Peter Harvey was a point guard, and he was such a competitive and hard-nosed defender. And he was really an inspiration out on the floor a lot of times with his attitude. He'd bring it to practice every day, and he'd bring it to every game. And I really loved the way he attacked the game.
And I believe Paul Kuiper's on this Newcastle team. Yeah, all of you guys would have been teammates with Kuipers, yeah?
Yeah. That no need big ass clown.
Be nice, Mike, you know.
Hey, but he was.
He was, man. He was funny though. He was inappropriate, but he was funny.
Oh my God.
He was a big man. He was a hard man to stop in the post. But I just remember you used to go get it. He'd try and dunk it on me, and I'd just wait, and you'd go get it for me.
Man. Hey, has anybody seen what's Roger Smith doing?
Yeah, no, he's around. He's in Brisbane. I think he's still.
Roger's coaching up at Southern Districts in Brisbane. I think from memory, the last I saw him, he was assistant coach for either the men's or the women's team, or he had a year in with each. I think particularly with the men's team, he was an assistant coach up there. I think he's coaching one of their junior teams, under 18 or something.
Oh, okay.
You know, he's still a greyhound. He's in good shape. I think he still plays as well. Maybe Masters now, but he's still running around, keeping in pretty decent shape.
All right, boys. I'm going to throw a few. I'm going to throw a few questions at you. You can all answer accordingly. Where was the toughest place to play in the NBL back then?
Shit, it was Roller Dome. I thought because we had Cocktails and Dreams and Melba's and we used to send everybody out to the club and come and try to wear them out the next night.
Melba's has only just recently closed, hasn't it? The last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Szigeti. Szigeti remembers.
What a legacy. Proud to be a part of the establishment. It was great.
I think with the hardest, they don't do it now, but one of the hardest trips was when we used to play Friday, Saturday night in either Adelaide or Perth or vice versa.
The Doomsday Double.
It was the Doomsday Double, as both teams were very good in those years, but the travel and the number of times that you couldn't get a flight at the time to get you in if you're coming from Perth into Adelaide. I remember one year we got in at 5:30 in the afternoon. We had to be on the floor for tip-off at 7:30 that night. So we went straight to the hotel, changed, and basically went straight to the game. So those things they don't do now.
Oh yeah, man, that was crazy. That was a crazy one. Or even the Melbourne one when you had to go to who did we do the double with Melbourne? Was it Melbourne and Geelong?
And Geelong.
Hobart.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh yeah, and Hobart. we did the Melbourne Hobart. We did that too. Yeah, we did.
I always found like that Magic, when Melbourne Southeast Magic come in to the comp. I think they were loaded, well coached. I don't know how you prepared for them, Dave, but I know they were always tough down there, like Melbourne. Just seemed to get the jump on you early, and you were playing catch up a lot. Well, it seemed like we were. I think Gorgian coached them really well, and just
every Gorgian team was
stacked team. I thought they were pretty tough.
I was a bit like Johnny Szigeti in the ring, going into Melbourne. It was like with Szigeti fighting away from home, it'd have to be a knockout to get a result. To win on points.
Yeah.
Down in Melbourne, you had to beat them by 15 because if it was a close game, you ain't going to win it.
I remember my rookie trip to Melbourne. I missed the flight. G-Man told me I was asleep and was in the toilet. Then come out, the plane's taxiing down the runway. And we get there, and Dave's like, "You better play good tonight, mate." And I was like, "Yeah, all right." Anyway, we ended up getting our butt kicked by 50. And then we had to go to Sydney the next night, and somehow we pulled off a win in Sydney, and they were like the favourites. But yeah, that was like a 60 or 70 point turnaround in the weekend.
Right.
Rookie.
Yeah,
Still never carried your bags, Mitchell.
What's that?
Still never carried your bags.
Yeah, but yeah, you did it. You did enough. You did enough. We got you enough. You know, a couple, those couple of those trash cans out there at Melba's and Cocktails and Dreams. He was good.
Palatinos on April Fool's Day, the false Palatinos prize you gave me was good. You remember that? And I went to Palatinos and he said, "What's this, man?" I was like, "Yeah, they gave it to me at training. They had like a ceremony." But yeah, it was a little bit of that kind of stuff.
Hey, the other one we need to get on here is probably Rick Martin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's still around.
Guru,
Yeah,
he's going good.
Yeah, I talked to him a couple of times. You know, I think isn't he in China or something? Or
No, he's at
back
Bond
now.
University.
oh, he's back. He's back. Okay, yeah.
And Richard Newton's still bouncing around on the physio side, and Doc Flynn became a top plastic surgeon.
Yeah, Doc Flynn. Wow.
All right, boys, here's one for you. What can you give me a standard Dave Claxton timeout spray? What was usually coming out of Dave's mouth?
I don't know. I never was listening to him.
I was waiting for that one. There'd be something about boxing out and rebounding. I think that would be the start of it.
Right.
I think you need Roger. Yeah, Roger was on the receiving end of a few of them.
Oh, yeah.
He's
on the receiving end of a lot of them.
Szigeti had a few.
It just changed. Luckily, you know, the victims, it was good. But Dave, you've had a couple of shockers over the years, mate. Like, really, if we get into it, like, keep it PG. But I've never seen a man turn green before, but I've seen you turn green.
That was his jacket.
Yeah. I remember once where you kicked the esky, and it took you about 2 minutes, and then you looked at me, and I was looking at you, and everyone else was looking away, and you thought you broke your foot. It was full.
You should have told me it was full.
I loved it because you were up in goody mode and didn't even play the rest of the game. I got to play my first 24 minutes.
Oh man. Yeah. I remember that one. I remember that when he kicked that skin, it was full. I was like, did he really just do that? But I ain't listening to him no way. So let's go on the play.
Of the players, who was the most outspoken player who'd be one trying to rev everyone up? Who was the one who was trying to push?
Shoot, I think we had really a kind of a quiet team. We didn't. Nobody.
It'd have to be Andre, wouldn't it?
Andre.
It was Andre, yeah.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it was overly. Yeah, I agree. It was a relatively quiet group.
Yeah, Andre spoke up a little bit, especially the day when he quit. When we were running, I remember that day was like, oh, we're just gonna run, and next thing you know, we're running up and back and forth, and we're jogging. Next thing you know, all of a sudden, I hear just. I was like, oh shit, did he just leave? I was like, oh my God, here we go. But no. I mean, we really didn't have too much. I mean, remember that first year, I think it was Larry. Larry was on the team, and he was driving down from Brisbane. He was driving down from Brisbane, and you know, everybody got kind of mad, like, why is he having shoot around now? Let's change practice time. Let's practice in the afternoon. But Yeah, I don't think we had too many people that talked up.
Yeah, we did. We had Johnny Harris, man. We had Harris, I think, on the bench at that.
Johnny didn't
And
say
Ronnie Rat didn't say much.
He did. Johnny didn't say shit. Ronnie wasn't. Ronnie was. He never said a word. It was good to get 2 words out of him sometimes.
You always listen when he said something, though.
Yeah. No, you listen to what he said there, but shit, he didn't say he didn't have too much to say a lot of times.
No.
Ronnie obviously did a lot of coaching after he finished playing. I've had a few friends of mine who played while Ronnie was head coach, and they all loved him because there wasn't much devil in the details with Ron. They'd come in from a timeout and he'd just be saying to them, just play. Like, just giving them confidence to just go out there and play. Like, don't worry about anything else. Just get out there and play, boys. Like,
that sounds like Ronnie.
Yeah, that
was him.
I think he coached a few of us, didn't he? Did he coach you, Hilly? He coached. I know he coached me.
Who was that?
Yeah, Ronnie. No, he didn't do QBL.
Only on the assistant coach side.
Yeah.
Tony D was pretty outspoken, but he couldn't get the mouth guard out of his mouth enough when he was wanting to have a go at the referees.
That's right.
What is Tony doing? What's Tony doing, Hilly?
He's still around. He's on the Gold Coast. He just moved out to just into the hinterland out of Robina. Yeah. Haven't seen him on a Saturday down at the old boys game, but you never know.
Never know.
Never know.
He was down playing Masters about 6-8 months ago. He came down was having a run the Masters League.
That's right.
But then he, I think he might have got a knock or something because then he wasn't there for a while. So I don't know. Not sure what happened there.
Is he still? He's not doing physiotherapy anymore, is he?
No, he's in the health professions,
right?
In the government, I think at the moment.
Right.
Building programs and whatnot. Man, what was our favorite guy on this team, Joel? What was his name?
Grant Kruger.
Grant Kruger. There you go. Oh, Krugs. Oh man, he was a dick.
He was just misunderstood, man.
Misunderstood.
It's the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to Grant Kruger was letting Shane Hill knock him out cold in front of thousands of people. I always said, man, that shit's never going to happen to me, I'm telling you.
Oh man!
Who else in the league was a good tough man back in those days? In some of the other teams, with the real tough guys. Who were some of the strong beast guys?
Mark Davis.
Mark Davis. Shit, freaking sometimes Tiny Pender when he was there.
Vlahoff was probably one of the.
Oh yeah, Vlahoff and Scott Fisher.
He was pretty tough, Kitty. I reckon Reese, like with us, Matt Reese, he didn't take a backward step. I know I didn't like running into his screens at practice and that sort of stuff. Like those solid, strong screens. Yeah, he wouldn't back down from anything.
And the real tough-looking guy was Dean Utoff, but he was a really nice guy on the court. He looked after you. So he was so soft. What was the little guard that he had with him with Utoff and was it Larkins? He had Wayne Larkins and he had Darren Lucas that used to run the break. Yeah. Actually, have you seen Darren Lucas on one of the ads on TV recently?
No, I haven't.
Have a look on the BP ad, and he jumps out of the water at the end. It's just a male model.
Well, him and Trevor good mates.
Yeah.
Speaking of modelling,
yeah,
you know, that's Trev wasn't in this side, was he? When we're playing, I think
Trevor Torrance
next year.
The next year, yeah.
Would you guys comment? I've heard a rumour that Trevor Torrance was always willing to sort of get dressed and head out straight after the game. A few stories about him in the change room getting dressed up in some interesting outfits.
Oh no, he was unreal. He'll look. You'll just say this about Trevor. He'll always know he's not going to die not knowing. So he's a fun guy, Trevor, and he was a great athlete. He's Australian junior track and field champion. Could have gone to the Olympics for 400 meters. Not many guys in Australia anyway played basketball of that athletic caliber. Like he was legit athletically. Regardless.
Another guy there, Greg Fox, there with the ball. He's still on the coast, Mike. He's still heavily involved with coaching.
Yeah, Greg Fox. Yeah, I still see him. I got him on my Facebook page, so I still see him a little bit. Who else was how's how's Larry? Is Larry Sinstock still around?
Larry is in Melbourne still, I think, based down there. He was involved with the government, particularly when they had the Commonwealth Games here.
Okay.
He had a lot to do with setting up some of the indoor venues. I'm not sure what he's actually doing now, but I see him from time to time when I'm in Melbourne at some of the basketball junior high school championships. I see Larry occasionally, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, at one point, he was the head of the NBL.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
He was the general manager of the NBL for 2 or 3 years. You know.
Right. Yeah. And the other one that Joel, you was asking that was pretty tough was Paul Maley, played in North Melbourne. Yeah.
Yeah, Paul Maley is still one of the top administrators in Basketball Australia right now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's in charge of competition along those lines. I'm not sure what his title is, but certainly one of the top administrators associated with Basketball Australia.
Right. And then,
all right, boys. Well, listen, we're almost touching on 1 hour of this. I know you guys could talk a lot longer than this. I just want to, I'm going to put this up on the Gold Coast Basketball Facebook page. We've got an old gold page, which is all about memorabilia and history of basketball on the Gold Coast. So this should get a lot of attention from people that have been on the coast for a long time. We'll send it to you guys as well if you want to pass it on to other teammates. Or or family or whatever you want. I really appreciate you guys giving the time today. I know how hard it is to organise everyone getting together, but from someone who watched the Rollers games back in the day, and speaking to a lot of my friends about this, everyone who was a part of the Rollers back then would love to hear what you guys have been up to and hearing your comments today. So it was great for you guys to be open. And John, I'm glad you kept it PG. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Hey, John, we'll talk later.
I look forward to that, Mike. Love to catch up. We'll have to get Croker and Harris in on that, man.
Don't get it.
The real squad together.
Lots of stories.
Oh yeah.
Not Mr. PG LeGassick over there.
That's me. Always.
Yeah, he always stayed at home, you know. He was like, all right, he's gonna stay at home. But Harris and Szigeti.
Quiet achiever.
The quiet achiever. Look, stay the green. Don't give up, isn't it?
So a big thank you to Peter Hill, Mike Mitchell, Brendan LeGassick, John Szigeti, and Dave Claxton. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thanks, Joel.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
See you guys.
All the best,
Thanks, John.
All right.
All right. We'll talk to you guys soon.